Hey there, welcome everyone. I'm Jack Llewellyn, and this is Cartels, Conspiracies, and Camarena. Today we're going to start a series, may not be all in a row, but we're going to start a series talking candidly and honestly and openly about the war on drugs. Okay. I am personally fed up with politicians on both sides of the aisle saying things that are categorically false when it comes to the war on drugs, or assuming that one party, one country, bears all the responsibility. In my mind, the war on drugs has bilateral causation and has plenty of blame to go all around. So I want to start by looking at comments that Senator John Kennedy, a Republican from Louisiana, said this week during a hearing with DEA Administrator Ann Milgram. Four times during this hearing, Senator Kennedy suggested the U.S. military or police agencies should cross the border into Mexico and attack the cartels. Now, he said wipe out the cartels, particularly those that smuggle fentanyl. Okay. Then he goes one step further, and you may have already heard this, but I want to read it very carefully so you know exactly what he said. Senator Kennedy, during the testimony of DEA Administrator Ann Milgram, this is the way the American people whose sons and daughters are dying look at it. Our economy is $23 trillion. Mexico's economy is $1.3 trillion. Ours is 18 times bigger. We buy $400 billion every year from Mexico. Without the people of America, Mexico, figuratively speaking, would be eating cat food out of a can and living in a tent behind an outback. So why don't you and the president, embarrassing no one, get on the phone and call President Lopez Obrador and make him a deal he can't refuse to allow our military and law enforcement officials to go into Mexico and work with his to stop the cartels. Why don't you do that? Now, the part that really got, everybody's attention was, figuratively speaking, Mexico would be eating cat food out of a can and living in a tent behind an outback. Now I ask you, if you're in Mexico and you have any thoughts about whether it would be a good idea to allow American military or police officers into Mexico to fight the cartels, does that statement by Senator Kennedy make you feel better about doing that at all? Of course not. And you add that with the fact that in recent history, America doesn't have a very good track record of going in and getting out. See, if you will, Iraq, Afghanistan. So there are legitimate reasons why somebody could assume that the Mexican government and Mexican people don't want to see American military in their country. If you really want to have a discussion about how to work together to fight the cartels, to fight the drug trade, insulting Mexico, asserting American superiority over Mexico and Mexicans is not the way to do it. And then, shockingly, given an opportunity to kind of hedge, step back a little bit, Senator Kennedy doubles down on a Fox TV program with Neil Cavuto The following day, here's what Senator Kennedy said. What I proposed to the head of DEA was that Chinese President Xi and the president call the president of Mexico and ask if the American military and law enforcement can come into Mexico under the supervision of Mexican military and let us work together to eradicate the cartels, because we know who they are, we know where they are, and I suggested to the DEA secretary that we use American economic leverage to try to convince the president of Mexico to do that. So again, number one, it's not bilateral. It's not cooperation, no matter what he says. It's American might. So again, if you are trying to understand why Mexico is reluctant to work together, this isn't helping. Second, and we'll talk about this not in this episode, but in a later one, this idea that we know where they are, we know who they are, is bunk. It's not true. We may know names, we may know some faces, we may know general areas, but the idea that they can just walk in and go, okay, if we go to this place in Culiacan and we're going to get all of the Sinaloa cartel. I mean, that's just garbage, and everybody knows it is, but nobody wants to have the nuanced discussions. So that look at Senator Kennedy's factually inaccurate and completely unhelpful public comments will serve as the foundation and the starting point for our look at the war on drugs, a look that's more nuanced, more comprehensive, and more realistic than you're going to see in most places. Look for another video coming up shortly on the trafficking, not of drugs, but of weapons across the U.S.-Mexico border. And that is Cartels, Conspiracies, and Camarena for today.